Hi, everybody. My name is Riccardo. I'm a creative producer and brand photographer. I'm here today to have a coffee with Jon Scott, who is the creative director of TOC. Yeah, well done. I hope it's a good Italian espresso. Jon, do you want to quickly tell us a bit more about yourself and what you do?
Yeah, so I'm creative director and founder of branding agency TLC. So we primarily work with charities, NGOs, foundations, with brand development and campaign awareness initiatives to help them to better connect with their customers and their donors, their supporters, and yeah, ultimately help them to have a bigger impact on the cause that they're supporting.
Great. Thank you, John. So what is the espresso that we are recording today about? So we're going to talk about typeface and stories. I know you're an expert of that, so I look forward to learn something from you about that. So to start, do you want to tell us a bit more about typeface? I mean, what is a typeface, first of all, because maybe not everybody knows what's a typeface, and can we tell a story through typefaces?
Well, so I mean, we're all familiar with typefaces. We interact with them every day, in our emails, in the ads that we see online. But every typeface itself has got an origin. So whenever it was first built, they go right the way back to the sort of 200-300 years, but the more modern day faces are being built every year. But effectively every typeface has its own story to tell, and that story is based on how it's been used. So we learn that through our experience. So for example, rounded edge typefaces are have a strong association with children and young people, mainly because they were used and adopted by a lot of kids brands, so like Lego and Duplo. Um, so they acquire their own kind of their own story and their own kind of narrative, and serif typefaces. So those are the typefaces that have so like Times New Roman. Serif typefaces are very much associated with heritage and history. So they're often used, well, they're used a lot within luxury brands. And actually there's been quite a big surge of serif fonts in the last few years, because during the pandemic especially, there's been a real sense of needing to kind of look back, and the feeling of nostalgia. So a lot of serif typefaces are being chosen because of those reasons. So yeah, every typeface has got a story to tell.
Right. And of course, every typeface has got its own story, but we can use typefaces to tell our brand story as well. But so are you saying in a way that uh, I mean, of course, when you have to work with an agency like yours, or with another director and graphic designer, but in a way, they they need to know that somehow, because that can kind of match the story of the typeface to the story that you want to tell, or
Absolutely.
help you to pick the right typeface, just to tell
Yeah.
your own story. So how does it work in a way? How does it? How is that process going in a way?
I mean, having an appreciation or an understanding about um, a specific typeface, and then linking that to the attributes and what you want to be known for, and what is a process. It's something you need to be aware of. So, for example, Nike use a very strong, bold serif font. because they want, serif fonts. I mean, sorry, sans font. So it has just clean edges. It doesn't have extra bits. They've chosen that font because they're all about innovation, and sans fonts are associated with modernity. Their logo is on an italicized style, which they then use a lot within their advertising, which suggests momentum and movement and dynamism, because those are the attributes that they want to be known for. So they want to be known as a bold, forward motion, innovative brand. So it's really thinking about the selection of a typeface, what its attributes are, and how those can then be used to amplify the attributes that you want to project as a brand.
That's very fascinating. Have you got any other examples of like famous brands? I'm just thinking even McDonald's or any other brands that you know, because that's so fascinating.
Yeah, I mean, the two other ones come to mind, very different. I mean, Stranger Things. I don't know if did you watch? I mean, a
Yeah.
huge sensation, and I mean, and the kind of the logo type for Stranger Things was very purposely chosen to reflect a very specific point in time. So going back to the origin story of a typeface, the typeface chosen was very synonymous with the 80s, so the 1980s, which was when the film series was set, and it was also very synonymous with the kind of horror genre, with Stephen King novels. So it was very, very selected to reflect those things. And another one would be someone like Innocent Drinks, which Innocent Drinks broke the mold in terms of being a brand selling smoothies, and they've chose a rounded font. So going back to the kind of rounded fonts being associated with Lego and other sort of child brands, part of their personality was this real childish kind of enthusiasm and this real desire to want to kind of celebrate the small things, and so they purposely use a rounded font to represent that personality of their brand.
Fantastic.
Those are
Oh,
two examples, yeah.
yeah, that's really useful because it really helps to understand what you just said at the beginning of the video, and so yeah, really useful. So just before wrapping up this really inspiring espresso video, so have you? So any tips for people or brands or entrepreneurs that want to redesign their brands. They want to come up with a new typeface. So, how do we start? What would you suggest?
We always start with what you want your typeface to represent. So always start with, if you haven't defined your personality and your values, that is what informs what typeface you should select. So start with your values and your personality. So do you want to be known for an approachable, friendly personality, for example? So therefore you would potentially look at rounded edge fonts. Or do you want to be seen to be a more kind of a more serious professional law firm, for example? So you might look to a more of a heritage based font, but always start with personality and values, and then start to score your typefaces based on those.
Yeah, fantastic. And of course, that you're there to help if anyone needs
Yeah,
help with branding. I mean, working with agencies like yourself is
yeah,
yours is
yeah. I mean, yeah,
it does make a difference, doesn't it? Because of course you can go on one of those websites, but it's there's so much more than just the typeface, isn't it? It's just
yeah. It's how you use the typeface as well. So once you've selected a typeface, it's like, well, if you use a lightweight of that font, it signals certain characteristics, like like technical. So a lightweight would be more of a technical, good for a sort of technical message. Whereas if you're using, say, italics, so similar to Nike, italics suggest a real forward momentum and dynamism. So the weights that you use of a typeface, all caps, for example, is used a lot in the luxury market. So if you want to come across with a more luxurious feel, you might consider doing headlines in all caps. So there are, it's the way you use type as
It's
well as the typeface that you
a
chose.
language. It's a language in itself.
Oh no, absolutely, it is, and it's actually every brand has to use words. So typeface is a really important, it's as important as your logo.
Yeah, yeah,
It's seen more. So it's a really important element of your design kit.
absolutely.
Yeah.
John, it's been really inspiring as usual when I do these espressos. So thank you for your time. Thank you for sharing your knowledge, your experience, and I hope you enjoyed your coffee, your
Yeah.
espresso, and I'll shall see you very very soon. And good luck with everything.
Thanks very much, Riccardo. Bye
Bye.
bye.